The Mongol Empire traces its origin back to small, self-sufficient nomadic tribes in Central Eastern Asia just north of China. But how were they able to expand so quickly and dramatically? For starters, the Mongol landscape and the way of life demanded the perfection of horseback riding, adaptability to their surroundings, and military prowess from the constant conflict between the tribes, all which proved to be key to acquiring territory. However, the secret to Mongol success largely revolved around the emergence of an extraordinary leader, Temujin. In 1206, Temujin called a meeting of the Kurultai, a political and military council, and proclaimed himself Chinggis Khan, roughly translating to universal leader.
Here we have Temujin at age 8 before his life was changed forever.
Hi, I'm Temujin and I'm 8. Father!
What will Temujin do now?
What will I do now?
He should unite the Mongol clans.
I will unite the Mongol clans.
Not until you're like 30 though.
Okay.
Under Chinggis, the united Mongols expanded their borders far beyond their place of origin. With the different clans practicing different religions, Chinggis began to develop the idea of religious tolerance, one of the greatest legacies of the Mongol Empire. He officially issued his strategy throughout his growing empire and appointed a diverse council, realizing that tolerance was the key to uniting the diverse peoples, a concept still important and relevant today. At the peak of Mongol conquest before 1259, the empire stretched from East Asia to Eastern Europe, successfully utilizing fear and military efficiency to build the largest land-based empire in history.
After Chinggis' death in 1277, his empire was split into khanates, political entities ruled by a khan, between his sons and grandsons.
The Silk Roads flourished under Mongol rule, as the Mongol economy greatly depended on trade and tribute.
The Mongols encouraged and bolstered Silk Road trade by issuing the Pax Mongolica that guaranteed the security and safety of its travelers and merchants.
Hey, where are you headed? I'm going to trade along the Silk Roads. I even have some fruit in my bag.
Whoa, are you sure that's safe? I heard there were some bandits around.
It's okay. I have the Paisa, a Mongolian passport that was issued to encourage safe trade.
Among the goods traded on the Mongol-facilitated Silk Roads, disease was spread just as far as the much-prized porcelain, most infamously, the bubonic plague in Europe that decimated up to 60% of its population.
The Khanate of the Golden Horde in southern Russia was founded by his grandson Batu. Although the Mongol horde started out as a unified state, he eventually lost unity as regions formed their own khanates. The Ilkhanate, established by grandson Hulagu, was based in Persia and controlled much of Iran and Iraq. Although Islam became a matter of political rivalry in the Ilkhanate, during this time there was also a flowering of Islamic culture. Second son of Chinggis, Chagatai, ruled the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia. The Chagatai Khanate had shifting boundaries and had a population of nomads with weak government. The Khanate of the Great Khan went to Chinggis' first son, Ogedei, who succeeded his father as Great Khan. In 1232, Ogedei invaded the Jin dynasty in allegiance with the Song Empire. After the defeat of the Jin, the northern Song turned on the Mongols and tried to regain control of their former capital cities, Beijing and Kaifeng. After Temujin united the Mongol clans, he began his conquest of China.
I'm Chinggis now.
Ogedai's son Kublai Khan founded the Yuan dynasty in 1271 after defeating the Song dynasty. The Yuan dynasty was the first foreign-ruled dynasty, uniting the northern Song and southern Song under Mongol conquest. Kublai moved the capital to the more economically manageable Beijing, which became a center of cultural and economic life. In an effort to gain Chinese acceptance, Kublai maintained the civil service bureaucracies, but with the removal of the civil service examination and replacing official positions with foreigners.
In addition, Chinese society was also altered under the Yuan. The Mongols placed themselves at the top of the hierarchy in the Yuan dynasty because they were warriors. Next were Central Asians and Middle Easterners who served as tax collectors and census takers. Last were the northern and southern Chinese, whom the Mongols had dominated.
Mongol rule over China had a dramatic impact on its demographics. In this graph depicting China's population growth, there's a dramatic dip in numbers during the Mongol-led Yuan dynasty. The decrease in population was in part attributed by the Mongols' bloody and destructive attitudes on the territory and its peoples, as well as prolonged warfare, rural distress and female infanticide, epidemics like the bubonic plague, the southward flight of refugees, and flooding of the Huanghe.
Founded in 1368 by Zhu Yuanzhang, a charismatic Chinese leader, the Ming Empire re-established many practices seen by many as purely Chinese, such as the civil service examination system. Although Zhu Yuanzhang, who later renamed himself Hongwu, originally strongly supported a radical Buddhist belief, he eventually used Confucianism to depict the emperor as the champion of civilization and virtue. In 1403, an imperial prince seized power to rule as the Emperor Yongle. During his rule over the Ming Empire from 1403 to 1424, Emperor Yongle restored trade with the Middle East, launched naval expeditions by the imperial eunuch Zheng He, and improved on Kublai's Forbidden City, which still survives even today as China's most prominent architectural complex.
During the period of 1405 to 1433, Emperor Yongle sent the trusted imperial eunuch Zheng He on a series of naval expeditions to long-established Chinese merchant communities in Southeast Asia in order to reinforce their allegiance to the Ming Empire and to collect taxes. List of Zheng He's expeditions, an excerpt from the book Seven Epic Voyages of Zheng He in Ming China discussing a stone marker erected on March 31st, 1431, gives details on Zheng He's 7 expeditions. In order to set an example, the stone marker stated that when Zheng He found foreign kings who were obstructing the influence of Chinese culture and were being disrespectful, he captured them alive. Pirates who were plundering other people were exterminated. Zheng He made the sea routes peaceful so that the foreign people could quietly pursue their business. Although these naval expeditions did not increase trade as dramatically, they added 50 new tributary states to the Ming Empire.
To display the power of the Ming and establish a strong Chinese presence overseas to contrast their Mongol predecessors, the Yongle Emperor sponsored 7 naval expeditions and put Zheng He in control of these missions.
Hey, Zheng He, if I fund you, can you get me some cool new animals for my cool new zoo?
Sure.
Here, you can also have my junk.
Thanks.
And so Zheng He set out on his junk ship.
Hey, don't call my shit junk.
On his ship, and he explored faraway lands along the Indian Ocean trade routes like the Swahili coast and Arabia. On his expeditions, he often brought back exotic animals in exchange for Chinese luxury goods like silk and porcelain.
Here.
What a beast! Here are funds for 6 more expeditions.
In this chart displaying the frequency of tribute missions to China, it can be seen that the period from 1400 to 1439 contained the highest amount of tributary missions. Number of missions reached as high as 16 missions, as seen in Java during the period 1420 to 1429. Not so coincidental were the naval expeditions of Zheng He, who voyaged from 1405 to 1433. The peak in missions during this time period was a direct result of Zheng He's success in his many naval expeditions intended to impose China's imperial control.
Similarly to the ancient Chinese civil service exams, many modern-day students take AP exams, but for different reasons than in ancient China. Nowadays, students take these exams to display their college readiness and to potentially gain college credit. Nevertheless, both the civil service exams and AP exams are very stressful and can make or break a student's future. Students often take AP courses during school or will self-study the material on their own. During the last few weeks of April before testing begins, students stress day and night about their upcoming exams while still juggling their schoolwork and extracurricular activities.
Sure. Do whatever. 你几小时前就开始这个啊？你现在还在做？你还没做完吗？你朋友都做得这么好，为什么你就不能？你就只管吃喝玩乐。我等一下回来，你一定要做完。
I'm sorry. Man, I'm tired. I think I'm gonna